All right, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. A little tired, but I'm doing good today.
I hear you. I hear you. All right, man. Well, first off, thank you very much for coming on here. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to get talking and kind of learn about your story and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, no problem. I absolutely love telling my stories and like talking about everything I've been through, the good, the bad. I feel like not enough people are vulnerable with that, so I'm like, man, I'm just gonna put everything out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, kind of on that note, what inspired you to start your Inhuman Aesthetics page on Instagram? Like, what got that idea going?
Honestly, in 2022, I used to just watch Ziz edits every single day. If you're not familiar with Ziz, he was a very popular bodybuilder who unfortunately passed away. But he was just
Mhm.
like super shredded, and his whole thing was like, "Oh, you gotta have confidence. You gotta get shredded so you get the girls." And before I had horrible social anxiety. Before I'd go into class every day, before I would leave my house, I would literally put on a Ziz motivational speech, and I watch it every single day. And I'm like, man, I hope to one day inspire at least one person the way Ziz is inspiring me right now.
Man, that's awesome. Those edits, I mean, I still watch those edits every now and then. They're sick. I mean, you can't get not get hype after watching one of those. So
Yeah,
Ziz is kind
literally.
of what inspired you to start posting, kind of sharing your journey.
Yeah, at the time, I mean, I've been doing YouTube videos for, man, since I've been like 11 years old, so about like 9 years now. And of course, when I first started, they were completely different. I was not always into fitness. I was a very obese, large, fat kid, so I wasn't even in
Mhm.
the realm of my brain. But I would start it off with like gaming content, and I wasn't going anywhere. That market is so saturated, and not that fitness isn't saturated, but I was like, okay, I
Sure.
think I have something to say here, something that can make a difference, possibly catch on.
Well, kind of talk about that something to say. What started your fitness journey? Was there a defining moment? Was there a event that happened? Like what got you going into fitness?
I think I was about 13 years old, and I was 300 pounds at 13 years old. And like, I don't think it's as bad as people say to be that fat. I always see videos of people being like, oh man, when I was fat, people treated me way worse. They would spit at me. My father wasn't in my life. My dog left me. And then they talk about how life is so much better now that they're fit. And like, it wasn't that bad. I wasn't like getting bullied on the street every day. People weren't like, no fat people allowed. But I just remember one day I looked in the mirror and I looked at myself and I was like, oh my God, that's what I look like. And that actually made me more depressed. I didn't like do anything about it because I had a very victim mentality of everything sucks, everything's terrible. Screw it, man. Everything's already terrible. Time to eat 10 million more calories. And I just started doing worse and worse. And then have you ever heard of the video game Sekiro Shadows Die Twice?
I can't say I've heard of it. What's it about?
This video game, it's made by From Software, and it basically the premise of the game is kind of marketed to be like this game is super hard, it's unbeatable. And
Mhm.
that game was the hardest game I ever played in my life. And I remember there was one boss that I spent 10 hours trying to beat. Yes, legitimately 10 hours. I played it for 5 hours, went to sleep, played it for another 5 hours, and I eventually beat him. And this sounds so stupid, but beating that game was like, man, if I can beat this game where it took me 10 hours of just bashing my head against a wall and I can finally succeed, I can do anything. And literally the day after that, I got gym membership and I was like, man, this is just like the video game, man. I just gotta keep doing it. I might suck now, but I'll eventually get good.
Man, that is sick. I've never heard a story quite like that before, like relating a video game then directly getting into the gym. That's absolutely sick. I mean, that confidence that you got from that, that's amazing. And obviously it's carried over. How much weight did you end up losing?
Uh at my ultra leanest, I lost about like 160 pounds.
Wow.
100 like yeah, 155 pounds because the leanest I ever got was 145 pounds. Never
Hmm.
again. Right now I'm like 165, which I'm like
Hmm.
I don't got the full washboard abs, but they're there. It's like Santa Claus. If you believe they're there, then they're there. Perfect
That's right.
lighting. But like yeah, that was the leanest I ever got, and that's because I actually used to be a fighter and I wanted to compete.
Oh, that's sick. What kind of
Yeah.
martial arts do you do?
At the time I did purely boxing, but now I do MMA.
Sweet, man. That's sick. So now that you've switched kind of over to MMA, does that fix how you train a little bit in the gym? Like, does that correlate?
Yeah, it does a lot. Because when I first
Hmm.
started lifting, it was pure bodybuilding. Just like do like a million sets, fatigue maxing. I didn't care how sore I would be. Man, those workouts were stupid. Literally, just go in biceps and chest for an hour, and like I'd be sore for like a week. But now I have to really mitigate my fatigue because
Sure.
if I go and bench press for 6 sets, I won't be able to do jujitsu that night. You know, I'm going to be cooked, or that greatens the possibility of an injury. So like not that low volume is necessarily better, but for me, it's better. And I just do low volume, usually stay 1 rep away from failure.
Yeah, so I saw on your page you talked about Mike Mensa recently. He's, the king of low volume and stuff like that. So that's kind of was my next question. Let's say from a bodybuilding perspective, what would you consider your training philosophy? Like, do you do low intensity, high intensity, which now I kind of see that you are more on the low intensity side. How many days per week do you like to train? Train till failure? Stuff like that.
Uh, I am a big proponent in believing whatever will get you in the gym is optimal. I think I am a big, I call myself the most optimal lifter, but it's because I think people don't use optimum. I don't. They don't use the word optimal correctly. Optimization has lost its meaning, right? I see these videos of people where they'll put like a band over their arm and they'll do like lat pull downs like that, and yeah, that might be optimal. But like, no, you're not gonna do that. If you had me work out like that every session, I'm not gonna show up to the gym. This is stupid. So I'm a big proponent in believing you got to have like a 70-30 split, just like your diet. 70% has to be clean, 30%, unless you're getting ready for a show to compete in or an event, you can have that 30% room of just junk. So that's how I train, right? 70% is dialed in. Okay, I'm making sure that like everything is full depth when I squat. My hamstrings touch my calves. I pause it. I'm very big on like controlling the eccentric, which is the lowering,
Hmm.
because you're always going to be stronger. So I'll always be like, all right, feel it, feel it, feel it. Um, and that's 70% of my training, very intense. And then 30% is stuff I do just for fun. Like I know deadlifting isn't optimal for muscle growth. I love deadlifting. So I'll do it. So that's my training philosophy is yes, there is going to be a part of whatever you love that you don't have to do or you don't like to do, but you have to do.
Sure,
But you
sure.
can also have some fun with it. Do that. Whatever keeps you coming will keep you in the gym. And
Absolutely.
that's what's optimal.
So if you don't, like, you're not worried about maximizing mechanical tension for every set, like that's stupid. I 100% agree. What's optimal for you is because consistency, consistency, consistency. That's what breeds results. That's my full
I,
opinion.
I completely agree. And what I've come to realize is like the best I've ever looked, which is like now or like a few months ago, comes from me not being so focused on diet, which sounds crazy. I used to count every calorie. I still do, but like
I
I would
still do too.
ultra
So
weigh
yeah,
I would weigh everything out. I would be like hyper obsessed. And that would cause me to break because that would literally just be my thought process all day. It's like food, 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 food. I got to make sure my vitamin K levels are high, my vitamin D levels, for my sperm count. Or like, dude, what am I talking about? And now I'm at a point where like I'm pretty busy the majority of the days that I'm working. So like I'll just be like, all right, an apple, a protein shake. I'll honestly put like some olive oil in the protein shake for like some fats and like boom, carbs, fats, protein. That's it. And my health markers have never been higher. I've never felt better or looked better. And that's because it's not constantly on my mind. I'm not hyper obsessed about it. I think the mind has a lot to do with how you feel.
I think that's something I could really take from you already. I'm super hyper fixated on counting my calories and stuff like that. I think it could definitely be beneficial to still track calories, but maybe take a step back, not weigh out every grain of rice, stuff like that. I think that's definitely very true. If you had three exercises on the training topic to build a physique, what three would they be? They don't have to be optimal. They could be optimal since you only have three. Fully up to you. Three physique building exercises.
Okay. First, I would do pull up slash weighted pull up.
All
Um,
right.
just because I feel like the pull up is one of the best compound exercises. I would go as far to say as that's almost like the squat for the upper body. Obviously, it doesn't hit your chest or anything, but like just you can kind of modify it with your grip. Either hit lats,
Mm-hmm.
traps. You even gets a little bit of rear delts when you get to the very top chest to bar.
Sure.
And I think that's a fantastic exercise. Also hits your the biggest part of your forearm, the brachioradialis, the
Mm-hmm.
brachialis, this little weird muscle in your bicep. So that got your whole back covered. Um, and then I'd have one pushing movement, and that would probably be incline bench press, just because we've shown that that hammers obviously the front delts, the entire chest, the upper chest, and it actually also gets a little bit of side delts. We've seen that. Um, and then you get a little baby bit of accessory work in the triceps and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And then for the lower body, squat. And I think like yeah, you might not have calves, but who has calves, you know?
that's right.
So I think like that is enough to build a pretty good physique. And that's what I preach honestly. I'm like, you don't have to do much. If you're not like if you just want to look better and feel better, go in the gym 3 days a week, choose like three exercises those 3 days, be in there 45 minutes. That is going to drastically change your life.
You will not look anywhere near the same after 6 months of consistency,
Yeah.
consistency, consistency. It's crazy. So we talked about your diet just a little bit, you tracking calories and stuff like that. I'm super interested. You lost 160 pounds. That is insane. Nobody understands unless they've done it how freaking impressive that is. It takes an insane amount of dedication day in, day out for, I'm assuming, over a year probably, right?
Yeah, it took about a year to lose the like 160 pounds, which was honestly terrible. I don't recommend that. Um, but like yeah, at first I had no idea what I was doing. Um, I grew up in a household that just has a horrible relationship with food. The majority of my
Mhm.
family is overweight, and so they don't understand how dieting works, how eating works, how anything works. So it was like, oh, you want to lose weight, just stop eating. And I'm like, dude, that's genius. Which is true to an extent. Eat less, but it went from like, all right, I'm having 10,000 calories a day to like 1,200 calories a day. So the majority of my weight loss was in like one fell swoop within a few months, and I had a whole bunch of extra skin, which I had surgery for, to get removed. So that was terrible. But yeah. But then I realized, I'm like, okay, food isn't evil. You know, you actually need this because yeah, I was still weightlifting, but since I wasn't eating enough protein, eating anything, I had a terrible physique. I was ultra skinny fat. And I was like, okay, what do I do here? So I kind of just figured it out where like if you eat how your mom wanted you to eat with a little more protein, you're pretty much gonna look good and feel good. Like as long as you get your greens, your vegetables, your fruits, eggs, a little bit of fats in there, and a majority of lean meats, then you're good. What I tell people is like if they're very over fat, like if you have 30 pounds or more to lose, I'll say like 20 pounds or more to lose. What I'll say is like, look, to have 4 meals a day, have a lean meat, right? Whether it's like a sirloin steak, a chicken breast, turkey breast, anything like that. Have like a lean meat, about like a fistful. Have like a little bit of like grains or like carbs, and then have like 2 fingers with of like a fat source. Olive oil, nuts, anything like that. Do that 4 times a day. If your body doesn't drastically change, at least like even if you don't lose this insane amount of fat and you're going to the gym, you're gonna build a bunch of muscle. Like you're a hyper
Absolutely.
responder when you first start.
I really like the way you worded that. Eat how your mama wanted you to eat. Plus throw in a protein shake or throw in some
Yeah.
protein. I think that is super well said. Super well said. Just general nutrition, eat your protein, and do not fall into an eating disorder trying to lose a bunch of weight. We've all done it whenever we're losing weight. I'd say
Yeah.
probably most of us have done it, and it is not good. It can wreck your hormones, all kind of stuff that we do not want to run into. Do you believe in any kind of other dieting, like keto, carnivore, fasting, whole food only? Like, there's so many different trends out there. Do you think there's any validity to any of them out there?
This goes back to my very optimal mindset that I put in earlier of like what's optimal is what you're going to stick to. Am I a fan of keto? Personally, no. Am I a fan of carnivore? No. But if this is truly the only way you're going to control your caloric intake and it's something you'll stick to, then I think it's a sacrifice you should make. Um, just because like the number one thing that matters in diet is your caloric intake. If you get a
100%.
super large fat man and lower his calories to something healthy, his health markers are all going to improve. Now, is that completely optimal? Is that completely dialed in? Could it be better? Yeah, it could probably be better. It's not dialed in. But that's a sacrifice you have to make for consistency, in my opinion.
100%.
If keto's the only thing you're going to stick to, then do keto, man. Like, that is better than having a pretty shit physique and being fat and feeling terrible all the time. So while I don't specifically subscribe to any philosophy, the philosophy I subscribe to is the diet that is best is the one you're going to stick to.
100%. Calories in, calories out is king in any kind of weight loss journey, if you ask me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You've lost 160 pounds, and like I said, super impressive. I know you have to have some of these. What's your favorite diet hack you found?
Um, Caffeine-free diet soda. And everyone says diet soda, but diet soda has a problem, okay? Because like it has caffeine in it. I'm very sensitive to stimulants. Like a Coke at like or a Diet Coke at like 2 p.m. probably will crash my sleep. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
So I found out they started making caffeine-free diet sodas. They have caffeine-free Diet Coke, caffeine-free Coke Zero, caffeine-free everything. Man, they
Hmm.
just released this caffeine-free Sunday soda made by the same. I think it was people who make root beer. It is so good. Pick it up at like your at any like Walmart branch you have, whether it's Albertsons, Tom Thumb, wherever you live locally, and like it legitimately tastes like chocolate chip ice cream. And it's like if you were to go back 100 years and tell someone, "Hey man, we're gonna create this zero-calorie drink that tastes just like a dessert that you can have as much as you want within reason and not ruin your physique and feel pretty good," they would call you a witch. They would hang you and burn you at the stake. It's like that's not possible. Um, but it's true and it's amazing. So diet soda that's caffeine free, and then a bonus answer just being high volume foods. Um,
100%.
every single day, this is my favorite meal. I'm gonna have this like in like 3 hours. Is I'll have two chocolate Ninja Creamies. Literally, it's this easy. It's a chocolate protein shake with a chocolate element. It's a hydration packet, and it tastes just like chocolate ice cream. And then I have two like of these big packets of like popcorn, of like fat-free popcorn. That's literally like 500 calories. I've timed it. It takes me like 30 minutes to eat, and it is fucking amazing. And I'm insane. This is real fat guy knowledge right here, right? I've mixed the popcorn with the ice cream. You got to get that salt, that saltiness with that like sugariness. And yeah, that's like elite fat guy knowledge right there. We are reaching territories of fat that should not be possible. But like I'm sitting there, popping my favorite show, popping a video game, and like legitimately sometimes I'll get tired of eating. I'm like, "Oh man, I got to finish this now so I can get back to what I'm doing."
Bro, I freaking love that. I relate to you so much on that. I be coming up with the most devious high volume foods of all time. Like we were just tossing spinach, we were tossing lettuce, we were talking
Yeah.
tossing mushrooms and everything. And Ninja Creamies, oh my gosh, bro. I invested in one of those not too long ago. I be spamming those like I posted something on my Snapchat story the other day. I was like, I'm eating ice cream at 6 a.m. If somebody 20 years ago would have known you could have chocolate ice cream for breakfast, you would be amazed. It was just a Fairlife protein shake, bro.
Yeah.
That's so
What
real.
fl-
High volume.
what flavor of Fairlife protein sugar are you using?
It's just the standard chocolate. It's the 30-gram version. They sell it at Sam's on bulk.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Have you ever heard of Element? LMNT?
Yeah, bro.
Get
I literally just drank one.
get the chocolate flavor of Element. I'm telling you, mix the chocolate flavor of Element with the Fairlife. It legitimately tastes like a premium rich ice cream, and it's like that's all you need. That is all you need, and it's like I need to tell people. I need to more people about this. Like I discovered this on my own, and like I just haven't been able to like stop. I've had this every single day probably for like 2 months now.
All right, so do you mix it in as a mix-in, or do you mix it in like while you're mixing with the protein shake to freeze it? What's the
Well,
move?
before I freeze it, literally what I'll
Before you
do
freeze it.
is
All right.
I'll put in a little bit of Fairlife, the Element packet, the rest of the Fairlife. That's it.
Bro, I'm literally about to order that right now. So it just like makes it like more rich, more chocolatey.
Oh my, yeah, because like that's the problem is like when you use just the Fairlife, like the flavor is kind of there. No, like the chocolate flavoring is I genuinely like it doesn't feel like it should be real. There's probably enough like fake chemicals in my body to question my
Psh.
natty status at this point. But like it's genuinely out of this world to the point where if I were to go out for ice cream, I would crave this Ninja Creamy more.
All right, I'm gonna see if you've been put onto this. You probably already have. You heard of a monk fruit sweetener?
Yes.
All right, pour like 15 grams of monk fruit sweetener into the creamy. It makes it so much more sweet. Oh my gosh, it's gas. I'm gonna have to try that with an element. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so gas.
That would be insane. I gotta try that. I gotta try that. I'm not.
Because I mean, a
I
little bit of the sweetness gets diluted in the freezer. You put like 15 grams of that in before you freeze it, mix it up, dude. It is fire. You got to give it a try.
I'll definitely try that. I'll be cooking up in the kitchen. I'll be insane. Yeah, I probably look insane to my entire family. I know I do. Of just like measuring out this like crazy concoction, and at this
Borderline
point, they just don't
chemist.
question what I eat.
My family doesn't either. They're like, "What crap, wild crap are you doing?" Or like, I'm on a trip
Yeah.
right now in my fridge. I got my meal preps. They're like, "You're freaking weird." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." All right, what is a typical day in terms of training, diet, recovery? You do martial arts. What does that look like for
Yeah.
you in order to stay
So
fit?
I actually just changed my schedule. If you would have asked me a week ago, my life would have revolved around training. Just because I wanted to be the best fighter I could be. So what I would do is typically I would wake up in the morning about 6 a.m. immediately go to the gym, strength
Mm-hmm.
train for about an hour, go home, work on videos, work text clients back. I'm a coach, and then
Mm-hmm.
I would again later that night go to the gym, train some people or my fighting gym, and then do a martial art, and that would take up so much time. Like I love getting stronger. I love martial arts, but at this
Sure.
point, I don't want to be a professional fighter, so there's no need for me to be spending hours becoming a professional fighter.
Sure.
Um, so I'm like, all right, I really want to make more videos. This is my new schedule. I wake up in the morning, probably still about 6 a.m. I drink some water, have a protein shake, edit videos for maybe about like 4 hours, and then about the afternoon, I hit the gym. I train a client. I train a few clients in person. Come home. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. What I'll do now is it's not optimal technically, but I'll do two training sessions like right back to back, 30,
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes of weightlifting. Then I'll have a liquid IV and a protein shake just right there. So the
Mm-hmm.
carbs refill my glycogen, send the protein to all my muscles, and then do martial arts right there for 45 minutes with one of my coaches. Train
Gotcha.
a few clients, get home at like 4 p.m. Usually work on videos for like another 2 hours. Then like 7 p.m. That's usually when I call it now because I have a bad habit of overworking. Intensity is my best and worst attribute. Man, when I
Mm-hmm.
go in the gym, I can be so intense to the point where like it feels amazing. I can get gains, but I can also injure myself. Same thing
Sure.
with work. When I'm invigorated on doing something, man, I can work from morning to night. But then what I find is I'll do that like 3 days in a row, and then the fourth day I'll scroll on Instagram Reels the entire time, and then
Sure.
I'll be like ultra behind, and it's a terrible cycle. So now at like 7 p.m. I just cut it off, and usually I'll just play video games or watch a TV show for about like 2 hours, and then go to sleep or get ready for bed and go to sleep.
Sounds like you're starting to kind of find a balance to life almost, and that's super
Oh
inspiring. I
yeah,
really like that. I think that is super important. So you've kind of switched up your routine a little bit. Looking back to your weight loss journey, what was the biggest mistake you made?
that's a really good question. Um, I'll give you two. One would be binge eating. Man, it was crazy. Um, I luckily don't struggle with that much anymore. I
Hmm.
sometimes get the urge to stress eat, but I've
Hmm.
kind of dialed that in a lot of ways. But man, I'm telling you, like at the beginning of my weight loss journey, there would just be some nights, like I said, one thing would just set me off. I would be like 100 calories over, and unironically, I'd be like, "All right, time to have a cheat day," and then I'd be like 5,000 calories over. Like, man, I could like, and it was disgusting, man. I think about it now, like 8 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in a row, like the glass of milk. Like, what am I doing? And actually, the way I fixed that was I started tracking literally everything. If I wanted to binge, I would track my binge eating, and like I would track like, oh, well, I just had 4 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's crazy. I would see it on paper. I'd be like, wow, that's insane. This is an insane person. It would kind of like discourage me. Like, I'm not gonna do this. Um, and so that's probably the biggest mistake. Second biggest mistake would be not sleeping. I have horrific insomnia. It is terrible.
Hmm.
Um, but I made my insomnia worse because, again, I guess it's all ties in the same thing. I'd say the number one biggest mistake that fueled these two things is having a defeatist mindset, an absolutist extreme mindset of, oh, this one thing is off, time to fuck it up entirely. So I'd be like
Hmm.
14, like, I can't sleep, time to stay up until 5 a.m. And sleep is the number one performance enhancing drug. If you're not getting sleep, then at that point, it's not how much muscle can you build, it's how much muscle can you retain because you're going to start losing some. Um, So yeah, I guess the biggest mistake in general was just letting a slip turn into a slope. I didn't get enough sleep, or I couldn't go to sleep. Boom, 7 to 5 a.m. Had 10 calories over, 10,000 calories over. And what I just realized is like, man, not everything has to be such an extreme mess up. It's not the end of the world. Just take it one day at a time. Take it on the chin, man. I'm 500 calories over. That's okay. I'm at maintenance, not a deficit. But hey, that's
That's
all
right.
right. Like tomorrow, we'll just continue.
I heard it put to me like this one way. I can't remember exactly who said it. It's like you have marbles spilled on the floor and you have a bag. Let's say you've already picked up 20 marbles, but one slips out of your hand while you're about to put in the bag. You're not going to dump the bag of marbles
Yeah,
out and restart. You're just going to keep picking them back up. It's okay if you slip every now and then. You're going to. It's part of it. Everyone does. I mean, I'm just assuming with you. I know for me, I have on a weight loss journey. I've been through like 5 weight loss journeys. I've tried to start, slip, tried to start, slipped. It just happens. You just got consistency.
yeah.
So
And
you
I think
kinda no, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to add one thing to consistency,
Yeah.
because I want to clarify what I mean by consistency. I mean
Uh-huh.
for consistency, I mean on a wide, long-term scale. Okay, if I'm consistent for the next 6 months, and then in the next 3 months I take off, and then I'm consistent again for 6 months, I am still consistent the majority of the time.
For
And
sure.
for dieting, the real quick pro tip for everyone who's really struggling, like you and me, who've had this weight loss journey 6 times, is diet in 8 to 12 week intervals. Nothing more than that. You have 8 weeks to diet, and then after that, eat at maintenance. You lose 5, 10 pounds, awesome. Eat at maintenance for like 6 weeks, and by the end of that 6 weeks, you're gonna be clawing at your neck like I got to get back into this, and then you continue again. If you were to drive from Texas to Oklahoma, you wouldn't do it on one gas tank. You got to stop at Oklahoma, get a new gas tank, and come back to Texas. So that's the thing is like, okay, you used all your gas in those 8 weeks. Refill your gas tank, eat at maintenance. And then once your gas tank is filled again, use it to go back and cut even more.
That is an incredibly good analogy. I've never heard it exactly put like that. I ran into that this January. I decided to go on a cut. I weighed 170 pounds. I wanted to get down to about 145, and I did. But I just kept pushing and kept pushing. My body's at a sticking point around 155. Kept pushing. My hormones started getting a little bit messed up. My energy was dead. Everything was dead. It's just, it doesn't go good. You got to stop. And now I've decided to actually go on a bulk, but that's just because I need to put muscle
Yeah.
mass on. But yeah, that's kind of what my whole page is about, skinny fat and how to escape skinny fat, show my journey, and if I can do it, anybody can do it type thing. What do you think? Why do you think being skinny fat is such a prevailing issue in today's culture? Because I think it's one of the most common physiques there is.
I think it's because of the low protein in the majority of hyper palatable foods. Like, if I were to, the protein trend has taken off a lot now. If I were to go to a restaurant now, they probably would have some high protein options.
Hmm.
But still, then, most people aren't going to take that. You go to like any fast food chain or any, like even like something like Cane's or like a chicken place, right? It's probably going to have fried chicken. Yeah, that's protein, but like 15 grams of protein compared to the 20 grams of fat that's going to fill you up and make you feel terrible. So it's just how widely available low protein foods are and how much more tasty they are to most people. And
Yeah.
on top of that, activity is at an all-time low, right? As I'm talking to you, I'm at my desk where I do the majority of my work. Now I have a treadmill that I bought for my desk that I can walk at, but
Hmm.
majority of the day I'm sitting down. I'm only conscious of like walking because I'm like, man, I haven't walked in like 3 hours. But I remember I looked this up for a video. The average American takes 2 to 3 thousand steps per day,
Wow.
if that,
Wow.
and that's like insane. Like I get 2,000 steps in the morning when I do
That's
like a
borderline
10 minute walk.
sedative. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like that is like
crazy.
that's crazy. So like not only are people not getting protein in, they're not moving. They have minimal muscle mass with higher body fats are on the rise. So higher body fat, minimal muscle mass, and most people aren't genetically blessed with their fat distribution. So it's all like in their chest or lower back,
Yeah.
nothing on their arms, and it creates that unappealing skinny fat look.
That's exactly what all my fat stores are right here in my chest and the love handles. That's
Yeah.
where the majority of all of my fat goes. All right. If someone comes to you, they're in a skinny fat physique, you're a coach. What do you think the blueprint is to get out of the skinny fat physique?
at that point, usually when people are skinny fat, I think that is like one of the best positions to be in, from a starting point, because you don't really have to work that hard in quotations. If you're super ultra skinny and you're starting, you have to eat, which to me doesn't sound like a problem. But these skinny guys, man, like I've seen people want to vomit from having to eat because they're just so not used to it. And same thing with people who are ultra high fat. It's like they got to stop eating. It's like that's all they can think about. But when you're skinny fat, you don't really have to do that. All I say is like, look, eat the same amount of times you're eating now, but change it, add protein, like legitimately make healthy swaps. Eat like instead of grabbing a bag of chips to snack, grab an apple. Like it's gonna seem weird at first, but these healthy swaps, just do them because if I overwhelm them with a diet plan, they're not gonna stick to it. So you
Sure.
have to give them baby steps. So it's like legitimately just make healthy swaps. Only thing I'll tell them to track is your protein. Track your protein. That's it. Get to almost 1 gram per body weight. Don't care about the quality of the protein. Don't care about any of that. That all comes later. That all comes when you need to learn about that. But for now, like I said, like lean meats, fruits, vegetables, like fish, things like that. And then you mainly just focus on the training. In the beginning, training is what mainly determines your physique, how many times you lift weights, how your rest goes. But then the more advanced you get, your diet determines it more than your training. So in the beginning, you're made of rubber and magic. You can smell a weight, and then 10 pounds of muscle just get magically added to your frame if you know what you're doing. And so that would be my advice: is eat the same amount you're eating now, just make healthier swaps.
I 100% agree. I think that's a really good take on skinny fat. Where do you envision Inhuman aesthetics heading long term?
I really like this question. I thought about it a lot. Inhuman Aesthetics, the reason we have that name actually is because it was gonna be a clothing brand at first.
Mhm.
Where the aesthetics were inhuman. And that was the whole plan, and that still is the plan. I already have a few designs mocked up for when I get bigger. Um, but so not only do I want like clothing, I also want it to be a supplement brand, more than clothing at this point. And I have talked to some people, and I have a few like formulas like written out, like very rough draft. I'm not like educated enough to tell you if it's really good, which is
Sure.
why I'm talking to people. But I want to have a whole. I'm a huge stim junkie. I'm not gonna lie. I love pre-workout. I take like a million supplements in the morning. I take like a million supplements at night, and I've seen it improve my health markers, and that's what I want for other people. And I want everything we sell to be something themed with an inhuman creature. So like I'll tell you one idea I have, that I really want to do is you know how like everyone has energy drinks, right? I want
Mhm.
to have a sleep drink, right? So instead of drinking it in the morning to get energy, you drink it at night and it would make you calm. It would maybe have like a very minimal melatonin in there,
Mhm.
some like chamomile, some like anything that GABA, L-theanine, stuff that makes you feel calm. And on top of that, I can call it something like the werewolf drink, has like a full moon on it, and
Yeah.
that fits the brand Inhuman, and something like that. And then I do want my own energy drink, and they can all be different like branding of like one could be like the cyborg brand of energy drinks, one can be like the zombie, one could be like all these different things. That's where I see it in the future, is it being mainly a supplement company. And yeah, that's where, and hopefully eventually one day a few 100,000 to a million subscribers.
Bro, that is sick. I absolutely love that. And whenever those designs roll out, I can tell you I'm gonna be the first one to buy it because that sounds absolutely sick. The nighttime drink I think would be excellent because, like you said, a lack of sleep. I value my sleep so much. I wear a Whoop every day, tracks my sleep. I love it. I think that sounds absolutely sick. I love your vision for it, and I literally cannot wait to see where this goes. I'd love to, Eric, once every 2 months or so, hop on a call, check in, see how things are going, kind of just make this a reoccurring thing, just to kind of track all of our journeys. I think that would be absolutely sick.
I would love that too.
Thought my phone was on Do Not Disturb. I don't know how it called. All right, the last thing we have, if people want to reach out to you for help on weight loss, getting out of skinny fat, anything involving your coaching, how do they get in contact with you?
Easiest way is go to my Instagram, inhuman.aesthetics. link in bio. You can see my one-on-one coaching there. Let me help you with your fat loss goals. And yes, Ashley, hey, please help me as well. I don't want to die broke and homeless. Um, but my goal is to be your last coach. I don't want to scam you. I don't want to just take your money. I mean, obviously, yes, I want to get paid for this, but my goal is for you to kind of do this on your own. I can help you with a diet at first, and then if anything, you just come to me in a few months and be like, "Hey, I need help with the specific compound lift I'm trying to get up. I need help with this specific thing." Right first, I'm gonna hold your hand and literally guide you through everything, and then after you're done with the tutorial, you should be able to be on your own.
That's absolutely sick. Well, what's your Instagram handle again? I can put it on the
Inhuman
screen too.
Inhuman.aesthetics.
Sick. Yeah, all y'all need to go reach out to him. He's a ton of ball knowledge. He's lost over 160 pounds. Obviously, you can tell from this podcast, loves it. And yeah, absolutely. Reach out to him. Send him a link on Instagram. Hit him up on Instagram. All right, guys. Well, I
All
hope y'all
right.
enjoyed listening to this one. I really appreciate you coming on here. It means a ton to me, dude. This is just getting off the ground. I hope this gets a lot bigger and we can talk to you again in a couple months.
I hope so too. Good luck with this. Just stay consistent. Again, I'll bring it back to the video game. It is almost impossible for you not to get better if you just continue to try.
100%. I 100% agree. That's a really good sentiment to leave it on.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.